Welcome to Thriving Tribesmen. My name is Corey, your host, and I'm excited to be making this episode. So, I was having a conversation yesterday on Facebook. I very rarely go on Facebook, and I don't even know what possessed me to go on Facebook. But generally, I used to go on Facebook and try and help, and it was just a transition from Reddit, where I used to help a lot on Reddit, and then I thought, oh, I can help on Facebook, and the Facebook community guys are really, really struggling and are very, very bitter. So it was a very difficult place. They were enjoying complaining rather than actually trying to do anything. So it used to bring me down sometimes. So I thought, I'm not going to do that. I'm not even going to waste my time. But yesterday, the day before yesterday, I thought, let me make a poll, and so I can just see if I can get, because there's 5,000 people in that group. So I thought, if I can make a poll, you can present a few issues that most people would likely have in a successless relationship, and see where people are at, so I can just get some feedback on what content I can make. So I got a lot of feedback, and then some people added some of the categories that I'd not added, and one of the guys had added something there. He had already been in the group for quite some time, and he had not got any help whatsoever within the group, and he felt like he was the only one with that category, which was that they were not having sex because she's got chronic pain. Unfortunately for him, that's where I've come from, where my wife has got fibromyalgia. So definitely, I knew and understood what he had to do, but it's now fixing it, because there's obviously a lot of bad behaviors that you do. As the situation unfolds, you start uh, creating bad habits, and those bad habits actually make the relationship very difficult, or sometimes you just really don't know what to do. So you just try and make the best with what you got, but at the same time you feel unhappy and unfulfilled. So I ended up writing a post for him, just to take him through what we've gone through and what we did, and it was just a way of really trying to get him to start having a blueprint of how to go through and start helping him through it. So I did send him some information, and I'm now making this episode for him, so he can actually go and look at it. He's got the written version. Now there's an audio version for him, so you can just listen to it over and over, so you can at least start implementing some of this. So really, I started off. I'm now reading some of that that post, or at least using the post as a guide to make this episode. So really, we talked about uh, what life was like. So now I don't really know what his current situation is, whether there's still children or no children. But for us, it was important to have a structure and a way of approaching our relationship. And we started speaking from a pre empty nesting. So pre empty nesting, meaning that when the kids are still around, how what sort of relationship do we need to have, and how are we going to be conducting ourselves in order to get the relationship that we want. So uh, for the first time, we started talking about what are those core values that I have, or expectations that I have for the relationship. And for my wife, it was a bit different. And obviously, I can share those. That's her personal goals for the relationship. But for mine, was for us to have a loving relationship where we prioritize each other. The other one was having a relationship that is an example to our children. And then the last one was we always have respect and collaboration. So those were very important to me, and she had hers. And then we started talking about how we can have an agreed objective, or at least objectives, to start achieving these these goals that we had. So, and the setting of goals was really important. So while we set those goals, it started opening up new questions, which was, in order to achieve these goals, how what do we need to do on a daily basis? What do we need to do on a monthly basis? What do we need to do on a yearly basis to measure, or to at least to measure and say we've been successful? So this became a blueprint for us. We actually realized that, okay, this is something that is going to be very good for us, that we can work towards. And the important part about it is that firstly, it created a destination for us, which is what we call booking a holiday. Because can you imagine arriving at a airport and then you get to the place with no destination? You say, airports attendant, I want to go to on holiday for 2 weeks in the sun somewhere, and the person is going to ask you at what destination, because all got planes going everywhere. So they'll be asking you what destination, and if you don't have a destination, you're never leaving that airport. So it becomes important for you to have a destination. So destination being, what are your core values as an individual, through to at least five of them. What are those five core values that you've got? What is her five core values? And it's okay if they're different, they don't have to be the same. But then how do we align those as from a relationship standpoint, and then how can we start working towards them together? Now when you do this, it gives you a destination to where you want to go as a couple, which makes massive difference, because most people don't even have a conversation of what they want within that relationship. And because you don't know what you want, it invites issues and problems, because you've got unwritten rules, unwritten contracts, unwritten things. And so you get offended by the other person being themselves, but they don't realize that they're actually crossing a core value, something that is important to you. They don't know because you've never talked about it. So again, it's very becomes very important to actually set the destination. This is the destination where we're going to go. This is what we agreeing on, and these are the sets of objectives that we need to do in order to achieve this. So it sets you up for success, because um, you beginning that journey knowing where you're going, which is so much. I mean, it's more powerful, because like then it also gives you a scope. It gives you a scope in terms of how much distance you need to travel. It also gives you how much effort you might need to input to get to that destination as well. So much value with that. And so secondly, the one of the things that was became very apparent to us is that because we had the destination and we knew where we wanted to go, it gave us a way of measuring to see if our relationship was successful. So sometimes, your relationship can start going low in terms of the investment that you guys are making, and it could take you months before you realize that you're having an issue. Because I think with relationships, a lot of the issues that you face, the input for that problem would have been done at least 3 weeks before that, or 6 weeks before that. You're just seeing the back end of what that issue is. And this is how it is. Like, that analogy of, if a butterfly flaps its wing, then it's like a big storm somewhere. It's similar to that. Like, that there's that effect of, the issues that you're having within a relationship are usually a few weeks or sometimes a few months behind. You're now just seeing the big symptom of the lack of effort that you've not made back then. So as you have a destination, you will see that you're not hitting the metrics or the marks that you need to be doing from a weekly basis, from a monthly basis. So it gives you an indicator that, okay, there's something that I need to be doing differently in order to continue on that progress. So this is very important, to set that mark. Okay, this is where we're going to go. And therefore, because we know where we're going to go, these are this level of investment that I need to be putting into the relationship. And if I reduce my investment, this is the outcome that will end up happening from a weekly, monthly basis. So, for example, if you're not hitting your weekly targets, it then starts affecting your monthly targets, and then therefore you can quickly identify when you've got issues. So the last one that is quite important about the fact that you've set a destination is the fact that um, you both naturally start finding ways of prioritizing your relationship, because all of a sudden you there's this thing we call it uh what is it, busy procrastination. What that is that you you value things that are not valuable, and you focus on them, and you have to do this thing here because it's really important, but really it has got no value add within the relationship. So if you think about it from a mental perspective, there's mental expenditure in terms of your decision making, and then there's your energy expenditure actually doing the thing. But if it doesn't add to the relationship, or add to the family, or contribute to anything to the family, that is just wasted energy, and therefore it takes away from the energy that you could be using somewhere within the relationship. So it's really becomes important about how energy, how do I utilize my energy and focus on the right things. Now, this is important because if that's somebody with chronic pain, the energy expenditure and mental bandwidth is massive. Where is my focus? How am I doing with my decision making? How much fatigue am I getting from my decision making? And how much fatigue am I doing when I'm doing certain tasks? And those tasks that I'm doing, how important are those tasks to uh, the relationship, contribution to the relationship, and how are they important in terms of investment to the relationship? So you have to consider all of that. And when it comes to energy expenditure and energy expenditure and like and the consumers of energy as well, is you have to consider the getting of financial resources. Is so there's four major areas where you get time and energy consumers, or calling them, which is getting of financial resources, which is you going to work. And I don't know if both of you work, but generally those are non-negotiables. Generally, most of you guys are either doing 60 to 70 hours per week that are taken between travel and going to work. So that's one that is non-negotiable. You're always going to do. And then children and logistics, again, that's non-negotiables. They're going to go to school. They're going to be doing their activities. So there's nothing that you can do to change with that. Then the sleep and house chores, again, those they need to be done. There's nothing that you can do in order to change that. So the time together, which is the fourth one, is on average between 6 to 10 hours for per week for each couple. So in that one you cannot change it. There's nothing you can do to increase it, especially if you've already got other commitments, the non-negotiables. So it becomes very important to maximize those times when you're together. How do we maximize it? How do we get the best out of it? And again, this where energy expenditure becomes very important. Like, what's my mental bandwidth? How am I coping with that? So how, my decision making, am I using all my mental bandwidth on things that are contributing to the relationship, or am I doing stuff that is not contributing to the relationship? I've got busy procrastination. Oh God, I don't know why that makes me laugh every single time. So it becomes important to think about, okay, energy expenditure in terms of physical, and then what physical energy expenditure, am I doing things that are helping the relationship? So for example, when I'm sitting on the couch and watching mindless stripping shows like the Kardashians or whatever, um, from a mental bandwidth, she's having to seesaw in emotions, which is why they watch them, because they're seesawing in emotions. There's some mental bandwidth expenditure. I know it's mindless watching, but again, that emotional seesaw is what it has. There's that investment that is mental expenditure, which can be taken away from the expenditure that you could be using within your relationship, especially when you've got 6 to 10 hours. So again, it becomes important. Like, okay, um, I'm not saying they shouldn't watch the shows or sit down and watch the shows. I'm just saying that uh, you can then start saying, okay, this is an important thing for us, which is our relationship. If this affects how you feel, um, feeling tired, or feeling, when they're doing social media and stuff, if still all of this stuff is making you feel tired, is making you feel uh, not good enough, and whatever mental expenditure stuff that is affecting your relationship, and it's being caused by mobile devices or watching TV or whatever is causing that, you start trying to prioritize your relationship before doing those other things. So it's figuring out what actually works. Now, this is an overview. I'm going to can dive a lot deeper within the community. This is thriving tribesman community that we're building, and I will be putting more further details on that. Just finishing up the website, it'll be going live very soon. So, and I've got a masterclass that I'll be teaching on that website. So definitely Uh, look out for it. If you want to get in touch with me, you can go through thriving underscore tribesman on our Instagram for now, and then just DM me unleashed. And that way we'll be able to get you some details as soon as we go live. So, unfortunately, uh, when it comes to some of these conversations and setting setting uh, objectives and setting what you want in the relationship and talking about this and having this in conversation and the practical side of it is that most partners would not want to change anything. They might not even want to prioritize. In fact, they might even put up resistance because up until now, life has been comfortable. You know, you are depressed, you're feeling terrible, you're hating the relationship, you're hating life. On the flip side, the benefit of that is that they're living life on cruise control and they're living in the relationship on easy mode. So you getting them engaged takes them out of the comfort zone. So again, uh, it's for them, it's a conflict of interest to be engaged to what you want to do, which is absolutely nuts, isn't it? Because this person is they tell you that they love you, and I'm not saying they don't. They absolutely do. But while they love you because they've found ways of being comfortable, especially when they're chronic pain. So they've got excuses for reasons why they shouldn't be investing. So over a period of time, they've now taken the path of least resistance, and therefore they don't want to engage in the relationship because not that they don't want to, they want to, but they feel like it's not for them because they are in chronic pain. And I say, fuck that. You deserve better in a relationship. She needs to want better for the relationship because it doesn't just benefit you, it benefits your children, it benefits everyone for both of you to be fully engaged in the relationship to the best of your ability and to figure out ways of preserving your mental energy expenditure, your actual energy expenditure, and putting a lot of focus on the relationship. And if that partner is not willing to accept personal growth and be uncomfortable, and being uncomfortable is important because that's an opportunity for them to have personal growth. And that personal growth is important for both of you within that relationship. Now, if that person is not ready to do so, that's okay. Because sometimes some people just don't want to grow. She's hit this place where she feels comfortable. She doesn't want to move. She feels like if I can sit here long enough, he's gonna give up and we'll resume where we are. But you have to go into these conversations now fully prepared that if you are not willing to align on the views of where the relationship is going, then maybe we should be growing personally apart. So, okay, if I stay in this relationship, I'm going to be absolutely miserable, even though I love you and so on. If we're both not prepared to grow, then I'm going to be miserable. And I've got two choices. Do I stay and just put up with it? Or do we go separate and then we find a way of growing apart? And going in with that mindset is so empowering because that person has to be fully convinced that you're prepared to walk. If they do not think you're going to walk, they won't believe you. They'll just stay where they are and they'll just wait it out. So it's like a, you know, hostage negotiation type thing where the person is just waiting out to see. In fact, what is that? I was reading a story about the Marcus Aurelius. He went to was taking up a kingdom. He came up to this kingdom, and then he said, "You know what? I really don't want to wield any swords or do any." So these people they were under siege. So they ended up locking off any areas for them to go and get food. So they were locked in this castle, and then they stopped supply of water, and then they pretty much started getting them to starve. Uh, and then the more they starved, the more they wanted to surrender. And then they actually won the war without actually wielding a sword because they used hunger and um, and thirst to be the influence of them surrendering. And she might do that to you. She might get you to surrender based off of the fact that, okay, if I wait it out, I'm going to use your depression, I'm going to use your mental health against you, to, your lack of self-worth. I'm going to use all of that as a way of just waiting it out, and allow that to be the thing that stops you fucking things up by trying to talk about the future and fixing the relationship and so on and so forth. So really, you have to be prepared to walk, prepared. And I'm against this message, believe me. That's the last thing I would be saying to anybody, but it has to be absolutely believable, so that the other person knows that it's actually serious. And again, if you're prepared to walk and they're willing to let you go, then it was never worth fighting for anyway. So hopefully that's something that's been helpful for you guys. And I appreciate the gentleman that we're talking to. This is dedicated to him, and hopefully he can use this as a nice way of really revisiting this episode and working on his relationship. It's a longer episode than I normally do, but it's something that I think needed to be done as a reference point for some of the people that are becoming in this community, which is that not everyone is because of other issues. Sometimes it's just this chronic pain that they're going through. So again, it becomes important to be able to address it and see how you can address that. So thank you very much, guys. I'll be seeing you soon. Take care.